and welcome to this week's episode of Tiny Table Talk for The Challenge Season 5 Total Madness, The Challenge Season Finale and Finals. Woo! And I decided to do this a special episode of Tiny Table Talk where I give it to you guys. I'm going to read a good amount of your comments from my Thursday's video of The Challenge. Let's just jump right into it, starting with Lakeem B's comment, which says, this season changed my perspective on a lot of people who I didn't care for, like Melissa, Nelson, Cory, Rogan, Kyle, and Bananas. In parentheses, I was a West guy exclusively, came off as genuine great people. I like this comment for the sole fact that I wanted something positive to start out this video. A lot of the comments from my Thursday's video was talking about how the final was boring, or a lot of the editing was terrible in the finals. So I wanted to start out something positive. Thank you so much, Lakeem, for sharing something positive in the comments from this season of the challenge. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into another comment. This one is from Kaycee, who says, I liked how the episode was back to being one final episode like older seasons because I feel two-parters are a lot of filler, but I do think they should have added more exciting scenes like how you mentioned there was a checkpoint edited out. Even though this final looked difficult with where it was done, being in the freezing cold, it was kind of boring to watch. Selfishly, I wanted Cory to pull out that win, but really happy for Bananas and Jenny. They both deserved it. Also, for when the challenge is able to come back, I'd love to see them bring back a rival season. I agree with majority of your comment there. The only thing I'm not a fan of is one episode finals, especially with knowing where the quarantine is, that we're not getting a challenge season for anytime soon in the foreseeable future. So with that being the case, I would have rather them pull a little bit longer, elongate this final. Hearing things being edited out is dumb in my opinion. And talking about how, yes, there's filler in multi-episode finals, but I think that there was a good amount of filler in this season's finals, and it was just one episode. I think a rival season would be fun, but let's bring it back to the old Rivals kind of format. I think Rivals 1 and Rivals 2 was fun to watch. Rivals 3 is all right, but I think that it was fun in that aspect, and a lot of people are saying that Final Reckoning was a kind of a Rivals 4, except it was called Final Reckoning, and it just had too much going on. Double crosses, redemption houses, people coming back, people leaving, all this stuff. Let's strip it down. Let's get back to the basics of what this challenge was fun to watch, and let's get back to it. And I would think a rival season would be fun. Totally Chase says, people need to stop sleeping on Kyle. He had to stay outside for 6 hours, got to go last, but still got second place for the males. I have to say that I am guilty of sleeping on Kyle. He really didn't do a whole lot in this season. I didn't feel like he did a whole lot in his challenge career, but I have a newfound respect for Kyle's game because yes, he was in this finals. He never gave up. He had to sleep outside, and then once going inside, Fessy, I read somewhere that once they got to go inside, they weren't just sleeping in beds next to the fire. They had to stand and or sit on a bench and sleep sitting on a bench or standing up, and being behind everybody, including Fessy, once they finally got to go in day 2. And then pulling out second place for the guys, third overall. I have to give it to him. Kyle did a fantastic job, and yeah, give it to him. Day 1, not so great, but hey, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Max Dingell says they should have kept all the checkpoints edited in and have a second episode. 1000% agree with you, Max Dingell. Me and Max Dingell here are on the same page. FootballHD says Melissa did so well considering she didn't know that she was 4 months pregnant while doing the final. Total applause to Melissa, who was pregnant through this whole challenge season. She took care of business. She got to the finals. And not only that, she made it through pretty much all of day 1. I mean, she made it through the tough part of what we saw of the challenge finals, doing the back and forth with the firewood, having to climb up this mountain all the way up to the compound, having to go through this whole hike, and then even nominating herself to go into these challenge eliminations in the finals, and then finally pull herself out. I heard TJ say that once he heard Melissa was pulling herself from the competition, TJ was told by a producer to lay up on her. Like, don't go hard, don't like push down that she's quitting in the finals, just let her go off easy, and you'll know why later on. So somebody on the team, somebody in probably the medics or something, knew the situation in the finals. Amanda says, I actually really enjoyed the camaraderie between the finalists. It was refreshing and some good vibes during such a dark time. Plus, the soundtrack for this season has been incredible. Definitely sad they edited down the finals. 100% agree. Again, them having to work as a team, work as a unit in the finals was something rare. I haven't really seen anything like it in the challenge game up to this point. It was fun to see, but again, I felt like it added a lot of fluff. I do agree the soundtrack was great. I mean, just this episode alone, we started out with 2 bangers with Chumbawamba and Save Tonight. Courtney says, I feel like the show being called Total Madness, the final didn't live up to the name. I feel like some of the daily challenges were more entertaining than this finals. I think the hype and lead up, not only once in the season, but throughout the season, before the season, where people were talking on all the like little promo videos on the challenge Instagram once they deleted all their photos, and then were putting up little sneak peeks here and there, and then all the cast members were saying, oh my gosh, this was like mentally draining, oh this was tough, this was going to be, I hated this season, the season was mind-numbing, and all this stuff about this season before the season even began. And then once we got the promos, all the cool trailers and the explosions and everything, and then in the challenge season with TJ talking about how we need red skulls, this is one brutal gnarly final, and then yeah, I think having it the way it was and having it just kind of, I don't know, it did feel like one note. Jurek says, Cory had it, man. This was his to take. Bayleigh would have taken second. She is good at math, where she would have passed Kaycee, maybe Jenny, don't know, but Kaycee for sure. 100% agree. With that tear in her knee, she made it through part 1. She made it to the compound. She got through the toughest part of these challenge finals. And if she would have stayed healthy, I for sure agree that she would have made it through the math problem, gotten that lock undone, and she would have at least taken second place, in my humble opinion. Louie says, I honestly believe that Jenny deserved this win. I was proud of her. I was happy to see Jenny take this win. She is a Terminator out in that snow. She is a machine. She was not stopping for anyone or anything. She was trudging through that snow. She got a head start early on and didn't let up. She kept at a good pace. Tran Dee Barnes Jr. says, yo, I thought the final was anticlimactic. If it's true that checkpoints were edited out, that's the dumbest decision they've made ever. I agree. Oh my gosh, like I 1000% agree, and multiple sources are saying that multiple checkpoints were taken out. I've heard a puzzle was taken out, dagger throwing. Come on, this isn't a time to be taking out anything. We have no challenge for the rest of this year, most likely, and most likely nothing at the beginning of next year. Why are we editing things out? We should be putting more things in. Let's jam in all these confessionals. Let's be seeing all these things in these finals. TMAC says, I generally thought it was $1 million to first place. My thoughts were exactly like you, TMAC. I mean, when somebody says winner takes all and $1 million and that there's no second place, my instant mind is that there will be a solo winner. So when TJ had to come in with a clarification that there is one guy, one girl, $500K each, that's when I'm like, okay, now I understand what's going on. But yeah, every time it was said that winner takes all, there's no second place, it really kind of threw me off. I was very confused about how many winners? And the next comment comes from Mariah Benson, who says, did anyone else get retirement vibes from Bananas when he was crying in his interview? I hope not. I definitely got those vibes at the end of this season, at the end of this episode. I got those vibes from his Instagram live after this episode had aired. It's hard to think that he's not going to be back for another challenge. I mean, he has enough time to kind of have a vacation, not have to worry about going back to back-to-back seasons, filming and everything. I have a hard feeling that if CT and Wes are gonna be back, Bananas is definitely gonna be back. I don't know, I think if he was gonna make a big stand of it, he would do it in front of everybody, not just like on his Instagram live or kind of like just putting out a tweet or anything. He wants a big audience to kind of go out on top. So I definitely, if he didn't say it outright, I'm sure he's going to be coming back to another challenge season or two. Do It Heartily says, I know the final was tough on their bodies, but as far as entertainment for us, it was lacking. War of the Worlds 1 is still the hardest final I have ever seen. I agree that there is something when it's definitely difficult when you do it and what you see at home and what's going on. I mean, this is where this final kind of lacks. It's like, it's definitely hard. I mean, dealing with that elevation, dealing with those degrees, dealing with everything that they have to deal with on that mountain, in that finals, doing it all day, trudging in that snow. And then what we see and perceive at home is something completely different, and it's not as exciting to watch them walking through snow or running at a bell and trying to ring it as fast as they can. It's not as exciting, but you know it's difficult. Evelyn Ramirez says, I'm just trying to understand how Fessy fell so far behind. I could have sworn he was first. The editing has me all confused on who was in the lead. Yes. This is what I have a problem with in day 2 specifically, and that is we got Jenny and Cory getting that 1 minute head start. Then we had Bananas and Kaycee getting the other 1 minute head start, and then we had Fessy and Kyle coming up the rear. And then the next scene we see is them all together going through these math problems. And it's like, wait a minute, we just saw people have 1 minute head starts, and now everybody's all together. The next thing we see is everybody at their math problems, at their skulls. Fessy gets it first, runs off, and then the next thing we see after everybody gets their math problems is that Fessy is way far behind, and then Kyle and Cory, which Cory was one of the last people to get their math problems done, is right next to Kyle. And Kyle and Cory are lobbying for second place, and then Jenny and Bananas are way out ahead. What is happening? I fault the editing and the editors. Maybe there was a checkpoint that was mixed in between all of that, and then it just doesn't make sense altogether because there was a missing checkpoint in the middle of everything. Jackie says, I love all the partnering they did in this final. Anissa would have definitely held one of the men back. Ugh. Yeah, justice for Anissa. I would have loved to see Anissa in the finals. The name of the final elimination was dumb. There was no contact. Rogan mentioned in a tweet they weren't allowed to touch each other, so why was it called knockout? I hope Fessy comes back with more endurance and Kyle surprised me. I saw that tweet as well, that they were told not to have contact. I think knockout has a double meaning here because of the elimination. Having a bell, you're trying to ring the bell, and when somebody gets knocked out, it's called getting your bell rung. So I think that plays an effect into it, and then whoever gets eliminated is knocked out of the finals. So I think they're trying to do a double entendre. I think a lot of these daily challenge names weren't on the ball. I'm looking at you, thrown off. Landon James says, what I don't understand is why they weren't timed. Don't they usually time each individual in the final and calculate it all at the end? They normally do that. We got that in Final Reckoning. We got that in a majority of challenge finals, except for the final 2 finals, which was War of the Worlds 2 and this final. I heard that they possibly started out calculating everybody's time and timing each other, but they didn't really use that. Overall, they kind of just scrapped it in the middle of the finals. That's what I've heard. That's what the rumors I've heard. Ina says, this final was just like the season's first elimination. Very basic. How is this total madness when no one ate anything disgusting, jumped from a cliff, swam any distance, or carried any load throughout the final? This was total boredom. Burn. I hope you see and read my comment. I did. I saw it. I read it. And I agree. I'm glad they didn't swim at all in these finals. It's too cold. I don't want another Cold War situation. But yeah, jumping from a cliff, we kind of got them walking through. I guess the total madness of everything was them walking to the compound as they were going through having to tightrope walk and walk a long distance and get up all the way on this mountainside. Again, the hype that was led up to this point, and then what we got was a very heavily edited final. Just did not pack a lot of punch, did not pack a lot of madness. SW says they should have given Jenny and Cory more than a 1 minute head start for the final. In past finals, they gave the winners, people in first place, way more time for a head start. Still happy bananas and Jenny won though. Yeah, I agree. I mean, more of the advantage was that you got to sleep in the bed and you didn't have to worry about being thrown into an elimination, and you were well rested. If Cory would have gotten that math problem done way earlier, then we would have gotten a lot more of a contending final race between everybody, but he just wasn't able to get the math problem. But I agree. I think that 1 minute wasn't enough. I would have liked a little bit more time, but that's how MTV and the producers decided to see that 1 minute was enough. Joanna says, Rogan told on his Instagram story that MTV cut out the first task they did in the final. As a result, some of the players started the first checkpoint out with time penalties. Wonder what else was cut out. Why? I don't know. It's every time I read a comment about something that was cut out or something in the final that was edited out, I just get a little bit more and more frustrated, because it's like, what could have been? What exciting final this could have been if we would have gotten there, but we didn't. Thanks for editing out. But that's it for this episode of Tiny Table Talk. And if there's anything I didn't go over or something that you didn't see mentioned in this video or in any of the comments I read, let me know that in the comment section below. Let me know anything and everything, and I will be doing a season review, an overall season review, and giving it a rating on Tuesday. So if I want to put some comments from you guys in that video as well. So taking a look at Total Madness overall, and taking into account every daily challenge, every elimination, every competitor, their people leading into the challenge finals, the formatting and everything, let me know anything and everything about this challenge season in general. Give me a small, like 1 sentence or 2 sentence review, and I will try to feature it in my season review for Total Madness for Tuesday's video. But thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, more content in general as we're heading into this off season. I'm going to be producing challenge videos, and I'm going to be doing more overall general content for reality TV and just in general. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, peace.